The third eye is the eye of light in the ancestral worldview, or the spiritual eye that allows you to see creation as seen by the creator, tapping into a higher ancestral consciousness and getting full view of what we call reality. But do you know how to activate it? In the Igbo worldview, we are in the universe of twos, known as Wa-Bo, meaning that all things manifest as two. And this is proven to us by the fact that we live in a material world as well as a spiritual that for most of us cannot be seen or felt. Your first two eyes allow you to see the physical universe, and the third, the Ose Ora, allows you to see the spiritual. And it's for this reason that the ancestors say, Madon were anya ato, all people have three eyes. But there are three things that are said in Odinani about the third eye that you'll never hear anywhere else. And these three secrets are more than likely the reason why yours is closed and why you felt exactly how you felt those few times in your life that it opened. Listen to this. One of the things you won't hear anywhere else is the fact that the human being has over 360 spiritual senses. So beyond sight, taste, smell, touch, and so forth, there are over 360 senses in the realm of mo or spirit that an individual has, all linked to the Ose Ora or the third eye. Now, for every single one of us, some of these senses are easier to activate or are currently activated than others, meaning that at our baseline level, we are able to tap into differing numbers of these senses, all based on how our chi or our creator brought us into the world and the akaraka or destiny journey that we were brought in to walk. Listen to this. This is Derek Ofaronwa with the Medicine Shell, and today I'm going to talk about the Ose Ora or the third eye in Igbo spirituality. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. I also have three big things to announce. One, join the Patreon. Patreon.com/The Medicine Shell. We've built a community of individuals that are learning and discussing Odinani Ndibo together. All members of this community have access to my full research library with over 300 books, articles, and documents that teach different topics on Igbo spirituality. We also have two courses that we teach. One is our traditional medicine class. If you are interested in opening your Ose Ora or third eye, this is one of the topics or steps that are taught in the traditional medicine class or the Ogun class at www.kedu.me, and all patrons at the highest level get this class for free. It is taught by a practicing Dibia based at home, who will teach you in an apprenticeship if you believe this is your calling. Class number 2 is our Igbo language class. If you have made a promise to yourself to learn the Igbo language this year or 2025, join at www.kedu.me. Kedu teaches the Igbo language as the Igbo language. We do not mimic an English language program, and this is the most effective method of learning Igbo you can imagine in the world. This is proven. I'll put anything on this fact. Anyone that wants to challenge me, go ahead and comment and we will go proof for proof. We have classes for children and coaching even for infants. So if you have a child, an infant, or you want to reclaim your ancestral language, join at www.kedu.me. And with that being said, let's begin.
We're in the universe. The universe is a part of everything that we do. It's so crazy for us to think like as individuals, everything comes from us. Your ideas, everything that you get is coming from a library of existence. Nothing is new under the sun. In fact, the sun that you look up at every day is one of trillions upon trillions upon trillions of other stars. Nothing is new. Once you realize the insignificance of yourself, then you understand what your actual significance is. You know, people think, man, I wrote the book. It's like, no, you don't understand. You're lucky to be a comma in the sentence of a paragraph that happens to be in a page of a book called existence.
The third eye was first opened in the third world age known as Oganwu by the children of the rising sun. The history of humanity is divided into 4 phases. Ugaka, the age where we were light beings, perfectly connected to the creator, Shuku, and moving about the universe, creation and in existence, the way thoughts move through the head of a person. In this time, our ancestors were Ndimbu, light beings that entered and exited creation at will, and whose mind and consciousness were one with the creator because they were the consciousness of the creator. The second world age is Ugachi, the world age where human beings are severed from the creator and have to learn how to eat, coexist, and thrive on the earth from the mother, Eke, the feminine creator, or as we experience her, Allah, the earth, who is both the daughter and reincarnation of Eke, God the Mother, or the universe herself. In this world age, our ancestors were known as Ndiegede, the cosmic listeners, or those who had to apply intellect, and pay attention to that particular part, intellect. Those who had to apply intellect to survive and thrive. It is in this world age that our ancestors built the foundation of what we now refer to as Odinani Ndibo, Igbo cosmology. And once we were able to connect to the divine mother, Allah, by way of intellect, again, pay attention to that part, I'll elaborate. A chosen few among us were able to reopen that connection to God the Father. And once this connection was made, the third eye was opened for humanity. And this brought us into the age of Ugawu, the third world age. Now, if you're interested in more on the world ages, I've made a video called The 4 World Ages Explained where I go into detail. But we're going to focus on Ugawu, the age of the rising sun, and the age where human consciousness hit a peak as our ancestors unlocked the secrets of the universe in this particular video. Because in order to understand the Ose Ora, or the third eye, you must understand how the ancestors used it to reawaken their connection to the source, Chukwu Okike Abiyama. In the age of Ogawu, where people could see Mado, the physical, and more spirit. As I said earlier, before Ogawu was Ugachi, and before Ugachi was Ugaka. During Ugaka, human beings were aware of the oneness of creation and the creator. That one person or one thing was not separate from the other, but rather it was all part of one singular existence. In Ugachi, this understanding was severed. Human beings began to see each other as individuals and themselves as separate from the elements of nature. Spirit as separate from person, and person separate from spirit. And in this era, Ugachi, our ancestors learned to tap into one of the 2 major streamlines of consciousness in existence. This consciousness was known as Ako. And the first secret is, the third eye is a space where a type of consciousness reaches. It itself is not a consciousness. Let me explain. All of existence shares the exact same consciousness. My consciousness is no different from the consciousness of the people around me, as well as the elements around me, known as the Abara, the divine forces of nature. This singular being that is all of creation and beyond is Chi Na Eke. Chi, the source, the unmanifest creator that brings forth creation, and creation, its manifest expression, the universe and what made the universe, all and the source of all. This being comes with a double consciousness. The unmanifest creator, understood by the ancestors as Chukwu Okike Abiyama, God the Father, sends into the universe a consciousness and awareness known as Uche, and Ekekeruwa, or Nechukwu, also known as Uwa, which translates as the universe, sends her form of consciousness known as Ako. Together, Ako na Uche is the consciousness that is shared and flows through all. On a cosmological level, and remember I said that, on a cosmological level, Chi na Eke, the father and mother of all being, meet at a singular space known as Obi Chukwu, the home of Chukwu, the source of creation, the heart of existence. the altar of all. Now, if you're interested in a video on Obi-Chukwu, because there's a lot to be said there, especially when it comes to things like sacred geometry, comment below. In ancestral thoughts, if you understand that all things are chi na eke, repeating and recreating themselves again and again and again, something and nothing, light and dark, masculine, feminine, existence, inexistence, material, spirit, earth, sky, then you have the keys to understanding the core of Odinani, and I would argue all African spirituality. This is because from my studies, as you look at all parts of Black Africa, you will see one thing in common, and it is the fact that the ancestral cosmological view is based on a universe that expresses itself in fractals, or abankebiri n'asụsụ Igbo. Do not make the mistake of studying Igbo or even African spirituality without understanding the concept of the fractal. The fractal is the key to understanding Odinani Igbo. The fractal is a shape that repeats itself on multiple levels, meaning that if you look at the shape, it is comprised of a bunch of shapes that is the exact same shape as itself. If you zoom into those individual parts, they are comprised of a bunch of shapes that are the exact same shape as itself. If you zoom in infinitely, you'll always see that the shape is repeating itself again and again. And if you zoom out infinitely, the exact same thing. If you understand the fractal, you can understand Odinani Igbo. In ancestral thoughts, the original shape, the original pattern by which all things are created and from which all things are understood are chi na eke, the chi, the unmanifest spark or intention, and the eke, that same spark or intention in physical form, material and spirit. Now, if you're interested in a video on ancestral mathematics or Igbo numerology, comment below, which is why the ancestors say, wherever something stands, something else stands nearby. All things manifest in twos. All right, so this is the part where things are going to get really complicated and technical. So listen close and bear with me. All of creation and beyond is a fractal of the creator, Chineke, father and mother. But at the same time, all of creation, including Chineke, is one single organism. At all times, these two flows of consciousness are running through an individual, creating a sensation known as atumatu, atu, or intention, that is aware of itself. Atu. It should also be noted that Atu is also the name of the original singularity. Both Ako and Uche are the same sensation coming from two different directions, and both Ako and Uche have their own unique natures, which I'll explain shortly. But collectively, both of these impulses are known as Ose. Ose is an unmanifest intention or parcel of sentience that flows through the universe. Ose travels from one part of the universe to another, from person to person, from Chukwu to person, and then from Nne Chukwu into person as well, by way of a cosmic highway or riverway of strings known as Ete. According to Igbo cosmology, all people are expressions of a single Ete or string of creation. And these unseen strings interweave and connect with all of creation, forming a tapestry or a cloth known as Ogodokomosu, another name for the manifest and unmanifest universe. These strings, like an umbilical cord, also connect us to the Divine Mother, Eke Nne Chukwu, as well as the Divine Father, Chukwu Okike Abiam. The same way your nerves and your blood vessels connect the whole of your body. Now, it should be noted that your nerves and your blood vessels are fractal expressions of these strings known as Ete. And Ose, like blood and like nervous impulse, travels across the entire universe using these strings that connect us all and link the creator with creation. Now, another name for Ete, as I've come to learn, is also Mo, what the creator and creation uses to feel and experience its own existence, meaning that each of our spirits is a string in the greater nervous system of existence, and all of these strings are connected to a single mind, Chineke. Now, Ete is key to understanding your destiny, your nature. It is also tied to your market day, Eke Uri Afo Nkwo, as all people have a market day that they came into creation with, and it signifies a lot about their purpose and person. So if you want a video on Ete, ETE, go ahead and comment below. But what does Ete and Ako and Uche have to do with the third eye? Earlier, I had said that in order to understand the third eye in Igbo cosmology, you have to understand Ete, Ako, and Uche. But for this next segment, I'm going to zoom in on Ako and Uche. What is the difference between Ako and Uche? And ultimately, how do they explain the third eye, or how to awaken the third eye? Listen to this. Ako is sentience from the feminine element of creation, or sentience from the mother, Eke Ne Chukwu, who died in the beginning of time and was reborn or reincarnated as Allah, the earth. Therefore, Ako is earth wisdom, or worldly knowledge, often translated as intellect, the sentience that our ancestors used to figure out how to survive and thrive in the world, and continue to use till this day to advance. This was also the form of wisdom that was revealed to our original ancestors, Ndimbu, who were light beings, by Umuoshi, a race of dwarf-like people who gave the world their intellectual or sentient connection with Earth. And from there, what we call the scientific as well as the sacred arts that human beings use to exist in creation. Ako rises from the ground up. Now, it is my own personal theory that when individuals speak about the rising of the Kundalini energy, that we are specifically referring to Ako flowing from the bottom chakra or the root chakra into the crown chakra or the third eye, which I will explain how that is understood in Odinani shortly. But Ako rises from the ground up, and this energy is feminine. Its sensation, as well as how it is represented, is serpentine, or python or snake-like, as the python is a fractal representation of Ako. And it is my own theory that when you read the book of Genesis in the Bible, the snake that comes with the wisdom of the world is Ako, and that what is being described is an astral experience rather than an actual visitation by a snake. There are 9 ways Ako is represented in Igbo culture, but you'll see these representations in other cultures as well, because it seems to be universal, since the sensation of receiving Ako is universally the same for all human beings. Ako is represented in these 9 ways. 1, the python. 2, the rope. 3, the herb, most specifically the sacred herb or the psychedelic herb. 4, the Owago, an Igbo cultural hat that points downwards, which historically has had many versions, but all having the fact that the tip points towards the ground in common. 5, sacred trees as well as sacred fruit. And if you again go back to the example of the book of Genesis, you see the python that arrives and tells the woman, the feminine, to eat from the sacred tree. All 3 representations of feminine wisdom, earthly wisdom, intellect, awareness in the manifest or material world. Next way Ako is represented is through the mushroom. After the mushroom is the pyramid, the mound, or the cone. And then finally, in Igbo culture, the anthill, and most specifically, the termite hill. And you will find in Igbo culture, many rituals will involve these elements to communicate the presence, idea, or fractal manifestations of Ako, or the feminine power. Now, there are many more representations for Ako, but these are the common ones that I wanted to isolate for this particular video. In Igbo cosmology, an individual's moi, or spirit, has multiple layers. In my video on the different layers of moi, I identified about 7 to 8. It is important to note that when Ako lands in a human being, it enters the 4th layer of moi. This 4th layer allows for completion in the manifest world. or sentience placed upon the physical vessel, which then makes it a living being. In Igbo cosmology, the Abara, or the spirit that is manifest Ako itself, is Ako Binagu, also known as Aro Binagu, the Ako which lives within Agu. It is also important to note, and if you notice in the list I gave the herb and the mushroom, and I get asked a lot of questions about psychedelics. If you're interested in understanding how the ancestors used and understood psychedelics, listen to this. Psychedelics are a gateway for tapping into Ako, or the feminine awareness of the universe. Ako can be activated by ingesting things, whereas Uche, the masculine counterpart, can be activated by abstaining from. An individual can tap into that original sentience that you share with the earth, which illustrates the first thing you will see when your third eye is open, which is that the individual and everything around the individual are one consciousness. Ako is also communicated or utilized in the art of divination, most specifically Afa Ababala, or Afa for short. This ancient African divination system known as Afa is the unknown root of binary code, also humanity's first supercomputer. Listen to this. Afa is an Igbo form of divination that uses 4 strings with 4 binary nodes that either communicate Ako, darkness or something, or Ubi, light or nothing. By using Aku and Ubi, each string of Afa can produce one of 16 words, and each casting of all 4 strings will produce 4 words that in combination will give you a specific statement directly from the mind of creation, or Arubinagu. Afa uses the ancient language of Umuoshi, the dwarf-like people who introduced humanity to Ako, worldly wisdom, and is one of the last remaining testaments of their ancient lost sacred language system. Now, if you want a video on Afa divination, comment below. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something that some of you guys might be able to connect or relate to. If you grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, which I think this is like my 5th Dragon Ball Z reference on this channel, right? So the concept of Dragon Ball Z is that you have these heroes who go about gathering these 7 Dragon Balls, right? Which is an allegory to the 7 chakras. Gathering these 7 Dragon Balls, putting them in one place, and unlocking this giant serpentine dragon that grants them wishes. In Odinani, it is important to remember that the feminine is the element that carries Omumo, the manifesting energy of the universe. And throughout the world, the presence of Ako, or that feminine sentience, is not only represented by the python or the serpent, it can also be represented by the dragon. As far as Odinani goes, the hornbill represents a union of both Ako, which is represented by the serpent, and Uche, which is represented by the bird. And I'll elaborate on that shortly. Listen to this. The masculine pairing for Ako is Uche, with Ako being nature or worldly sentience. Uche is what we would in English call divine sentience, though they're both divine in ancestral thoughts. But divine sentience, spiritual sentience, a message that is sent directly from the creator, the father, directly to the person. Uche is also known as Abia, which is paired with the name for God the Father in Odinani, Chukwu Okike Abiyama. In the 4 world ages of Igbo cosmology, Ako was unlocked in the 2nd world age. And in the 3rd world age, something special happened. The mastery of Ako and worldly wisdom had reached a point where certain individuals began to be born. These people were born with a connection that had been lost for millennia. This was a connection to the sentience or the mind of the father, known as Uche or Abia. And these people were known as Omo Anwu, the children of the rising sun. Through connection to Anyanwu, the Abara, that is the direct source of Uche into the manifest world, or the sun in English, solar wisdom was unlocked. This sentience coming directly from the sun to the human being and to the manifest world allowed for a flourishing of human culture, a direct connection to spirit that was as clear as the connection between 2 people, and a full 360-degree awareness of all that is, was, and will be. This gave birth to the 3rd world age, the age of Omo Anwu, the children of the rising sun, known as Oganwu. And in this age, led by Anyanwu, human beings reached a level of spiritual wisdom that today we are yet to match. Because upon seeing the world age that we are currently in, many of the Omoanwu chose to die with their wisdom, knowing that the people who will precede them will use it to destroy each other. Now, if you want a video on Oganwu, I have a lot of theories that connect to some things you guys might be familiar with, and you guys tend to ask me about, and I tend to avoid answering, but I'm ready to talk about it. Go ahead and comment below. Now, Anyanwu is the Abara most connected to Oganwu, but there is an Abara that lives or comes from Anyanwu that is more closely related to this age. This Abara is very literally known as Abara, and hence completing Anyanwu's full name, Anyanwu na Abaraya, or the sun and its spirit. The spirit of the sun is also known as Abia, and the spirit of the sun is the human being's closest physical connection to understanding the chi. Because in this fractal-based worldview, the chi is a fractal manifestation of the sun a fractal manifestation of Chukwu Okike Abiyama. So Abia, which is also known as Abiyama, therefore becomes the spirit of Chukwu, which occupies a human body or touches the human body, human spirit, and human mind when they receive Uche. Uche is represented by these 9 things. Some of these things you will see in cultures outside of Igbo culture. Some of them are almost exclusive to Igbo culture, and some represent the same concept but are not Igbo. 1 is light. 2, the feather, very specifically the white feather, which is why in the Igbo chieftaincy ceremony for men, which itself is a ritual to unite a person with the nature of Chukwu or the nature of their chi, a feather is placed on the head to represent that connection or that reception of Abia. A palm frond is also a representation of Abia, which is why in many ancient cultures, including Igbo culture, a person or a foreigner who enters a city holding a palm frond is not harassed, taxed, or treated maliciously, as they are a divine messenger and they're representing with the palm frond a divine message. The 4th is the bird, very often the eagle, or when Ako and Uche are united, the hornbill. Next are reflexive metals, very often gold, sometimes silver, which connects it to another way that Uche is represented, and that is by use of a crown, the placement of reflexive metals on a person's head to symbolize that they are the messenger, speaker, or direct current and connection to the divine sentience. This is also represented by use of many caps. And this one wasn't originally in my list, but when it comes to colors, Uche is represented with the color white, Ako with the color red. Now, many Igbo chieftaincy hats represent a union of Ako na Uche, which you will also see adorning many arushi or shrines. The next representation of Uche or symbol for Uche are eyes. Next are hands, specifically palms, and then finally halos. Now, if you think about your own understanding of world culture, be it Igbo culture or cultures beyond, and how all of these symbols are represented, you will understand that Ako and Uche are things that were understood in the 3rd world age or Oganwu. Now, Uche, when it lands in a person's spirit, is the 8th layer of Mo. Now, in my original video, I said that there were 7 layers of Mo, but that there is sometimes an 8th. Uche is the source of what we today know as prophecy, divine insight, divine wisdom, or the wisdom that surpasses the bounds of the material world. Uche can also come in the form of a message, an instruction, or a directive. Uche serves as the active hand of Chukwu Okike Abiyama, which reaches an individual and chooses them as a conduit or actor for the will of God. So Ako lands in the 4th layer of Mo, and Uche lands in the 7th layer of Mo, though Uche is often considered an 8th layer when it is with you, because Uche comes and goes, or as Nibo say, Uche na bia. But when Ako and Uche both meet at the 7th layer of Mo, magic happens. an explosion of magic happens. And this is the awakening of the Ose Ora, meaning that your Ose Ora, or your third eye, is the seventh layer of Mo. Now listen to this. Obi-Chukwu is to the universe what your third eye is to you. And when the Chi energy and the Eke energy meet at that point, an explosion of magic happens. Just like in the story Odachi Nebere, when Ako opens the door of Uche and they both meet at the seventh layer of Mo, the Ose Ora is open. This allows for the unmanifest intention within the seventh layer of Mo to become reality. But what is that unmanifest intention, or what happens when your third eye awakens? In the ancestral worldview, an individual is a forest, but you come into the world as a seed. Now, if you are only looking with your terrestrial eyes, you will only see a seed because the terrestrial eyes are limited by factors such as time. But if you place that seed in the earth, it interacts with the four elements in harmony: Eke, light; Urie, water; Afo, soil; Nkwo, wind. It'll begin to grow. As it grows, it will produce its own seeds, which will produce its own trees. Birds will perch on these trees. They will drop seeds as well. And it will continue to grow and grow until over time, the average person is able to see that this seed was a forest the whole time. The opening of the Ose Ora allows a seed to have the consciousness of the forest. In the ancestral worldview, the manifestation of this forest is what is known as Awele. Awele is the showing of your divine form, your true form and your full form, which individuals cannot see because, again, the terrestrial eye is limited by concepts such as time and potential. The opening of the Ose Ora allows an individual to acquire the consciousness of their full form. Within the consciousness of your full form, an individual then surpasses the terrestrial consciousness and unlocks those things within themselves that have always been there but have not always been accessible. Now, for each person, what is unlocked will be different because, as the ancestors say, it is according to one's work in the world that their chi created them. But throughout history, and even from my own experience, there are three things that you tend to see if you have a third eye opening moment. The first is that all is one. Second, that time and space are an illusion. And third is inner peace. And the relationship with Chineke, as far as opening the Ose Ora, or the third eye, is because understanding these concepts is key to opening the third eye. But beyond understanding these concepts, or third eye, here are 9 ways an individual can open their third eye. 1 is to keep your pathways clear. Between you and the earth, and between you and your creator, are your maternal and paternal, female and male ancestors. You are an expression of a string that connects all the way back to your source, and that string is made up of the spirit of your ancestors, as well as that of your own, which are one. Maintain a relationship with your ancestors by regularly greeting them, inviting them into your life, acknowledging them, and moving about the world with the full understanding that they are with you and they are you. Blockages between you and your ancestors will also cause blockages between you and your reception of divine wisdom. 2 is to keep your hands clean. Uche specifically, or Abia, only lands on clean, firm hands. Keeping your hands clean, literally as well as figuratively, by living a moral life and what you feel within is correct. Part of keeping your hands clean is also holding the akankumoto, or the firm hand, a hand that is capable of receiving. At all times, you are receiving from your creator. The more you are able to show that you are able to carry what you receive, the more you will receive in due time. So keeping a clean hand is also being dutiful, responsible, self-assured, and capable. 3 is meditation. And I will add meditation, prayer, and all other forms of returning to your source, communicating with your source, and having full faith in your source. Prayer and meditation strengthen the relationship with source, and the stronger your relationship with your source, the more open the communication between you and that which brought you into the world. Number 4 is ritual death. Acknowledging who you came into this world to be, shedding all contrary previous identities, and fully embracing it by way of a ritual that assures your creator that you are starting anew and you are ready to receive. In Odinani, this is done by way of title taking. In many Abrahamic faiths, this is done by way of baptism. In a lot of Eastern faiths, this is done by way of isolation and fasting. And with all 3 of the named worldviews sharing overlapping ideas of how to achieve this ritual death or this renewal and reemergence of the true self. The shedding of a false identity to make way for the true identity also makes way for a true connection. Number 5 is isolation. Extreme isolation for long periods of time, especially an isolation that takes you away from your comfort or what you understand to be your regular life, allows for a silencing of your connection with spirit so that you can hear your original voice once again. Number 7 is ritual. This can come in the form of chanting, movement, or the constant repetition of an action which invites Akona Uche to reach you. And number 8, which is the most effective and well proven over the history of time, over the history of the human race, is need. At all times, each of us is receiving enough Ako and Uche to meet the immediate needs we have committed our heart and spirit to. As you scale up what you need from your chi or from your chi and your source will scale up what you receive. When you begin making your needs the things you previously labeled as impossible, what you receive from your source will also scale up to the point where you can only call it magic. Set bigger goals, tackle bigger challenges, seek to do the extraordinary, and your extraordinary powers will follow you. And that's it. This is Derek O'Foddermore with The Medicine Show. Thank you.